I had I've been going through. So I guess this is when y'all said how have you been? I didn't tell the complete truth. I have been going through like these like anxious spells. Like I get anxiety like really bad, but it's not like regular anxiety. It's like I got diagnosed with general anxiety disorder where like I kind of just walk around with it, and I didn't really know what was wrong with me. I thought something was wrong with my heart was what I thought, because I started getting panic attacks and they started getting more frequent. And it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever had a panic attack, but it was like, it's like the worst fucking feeling. You feel like you're going to die.
Do you ever go unconscious?
I almost did twice. But like the paramedics came right before that happened. And I think their presence just calms me down.
Yeah.
That's what they said was about to happen to me the first time it happened, because like it's one of those things where I don't know if anybody's experienced to this degree, but it's like your limbs actually like lock up, like to like where like you're like it was like this, like, and I was like, and at that time I didn't know what it was, so I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? So it's and it's starting to creep up, like the muscles are starting to tighten all the way up my arm, and you can feel it, and I felt it on my jaw. I was like, oh shit, I'm like slowly dying. You ever see that scene in the Matrix where Neo has that silver shit running?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm watching it go up. It's just weird as hell. But so those started happening like more and more frequent, and I didn't know what was wrong. I actually went on tour for my music early January before all this COVID shit hit, and we did like all like southern states, a southern tour. I mean, and so we drove from Florida to Texas, and we were gonna finish. We had 3 cities in Texas to finish out the tour, and 20 minutes outside of Houston, I get a bad one, and I had never felt it because like my arms was like feeling tingly, and I thought I was like, okay, this is for real a heart issue. And so we went to the emergency room, and they kept me overnight, and it was the fucking greatest hospital I've ever been to in my life, dog. And it wasn't like because it was me. This is how because like they were just like overly like happy to help with whatever. Like it was inside. I mean, I've been to mad hospitals. I've had like 14 surgeries throughout my career. Like I've been to hospitals like all the time, so I'm used to them. But like this was like insane. Like they woke me up in the morning, and my guy was like, "Hey, we're making a run for everybody on the floor. Like if you want some breakfast, like what do you want?" I was like, "What?" Like, he was like, yeah, whatever you want. I was like, "Nah, I'm straight, bro. But what the fuck is wrong with y'all?" I told him, I was like, "Yo, this is by far the best treatment I've ever had in my life." They're like, "Thank you so much." We actually all of us left our jobs in Methodist, which is like one of the biggest hospital centers in the world, like for like cancer as well, like in Houston. We left our jobs there to come here because we feel like this is how you're supposed to treat patients. And I was like, that shit is insane. So like if I ever die, I want to die there. But but anyway, so like so the next day they sent me to like a stress test, like for the heart, echo, cardio, KG or whatever, all that shit. I did all that. They didn't find anything. And so my last one I had was probably like a month ago. And I was like, "Doc, bro, like, so what is this shit?" And so he got me in touch with a psychiatrist, and she like we've been talking for like a month, and I feel way better. Like she gave me some anxiety medicine, and I felt like I haven't rested, like just like that's why I said all that long ass story. But just like I feel like I haven't rested in so long because this shit has been on me for I guess years. But I just kind of likened it to life. Like this is just how
it only recently was the Matrix feeling of like cramped up.
So many questions.
Yeah.
Like
Weed helps with that.
Yeah.
But no, see, so weed was a trigger for me. And so that's what started this whole shit. Was like I was always a smoker, but like one time I took a brownie, and the crazy shit is like we had cooked. I had some homies visit from out of town, and my shorty, she made a whole bunch of brownies, and the whole weekend we was eating them, and everything was fine. And the very last one I ate, I locked up. I thought I was dead. It was the weirdest shit in the world. And then subsequently I smoked like 6 times after that. And every single time I had a panic attack, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And more research I did was like some people like for whatever reasons, like midlife, they can't smoke weed anymore. It changes, and they
God, I hope that hasn't happened to me in the last couple of years.
Arian,
I don't want it to happen. That shit is horrible because I love weed. It's amazing.
So Arian, when you were a pro football player, obviously you existed in a world where people had an opinion on you, but social media is different, right? Where you just that Twitch chat exists nonstop. Your Facebook, your YouTube, like your music probably too. Do you think that triggers the anxiety? Like, is it tougher to be in your current life than your life from back in the day?
I think growing up in a sport where you're highly criticized.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like grown men. Yeah, no, it's not new. So it kind of like put up blinders to that, or at least you become numb to the criticism. I think the anxiety from football came from like external factors, not like that. They were more so like I remember vividly like, before games, I used to think like I used to remember feeling like just this gut wrenching like nervousness, but not because I'm nervous of anything else, but like yo, like you could get really hurt out here. Like I remember thinking this shit like before every game, and I played a more physical position, so it's like I had to like deliver it, or else it
defensemen are mean.
Huh?
Defensemen are mean.
Yeah, no, they I mean literally dudes twisting your ankles under piles and shit like that. So like you had to like literally like mentally prepare yourself for like fights and wars every Sunday, and so that I think that after years and years of that my whole life, I think it's just starting to like surface. And so like I didn't not having that physical outlet because like I changed like when like I'm a nice chill dude, but like when the lights come on and like the adrenaline's pumping and shit, like I'm not a very nice human, and neither are the dudes that I'm playing against. So it's just like a war.
I know a few fighters who do that same thing. They kind of turn this like, you know, in the octagon there's no room for niceness in there.
Yep. You got to be dirt. Like you got to be. I remember. A matter of fact, I found one of my journals. This is actually interesting. I found one of my journals I was writing when I was in college, and it was fascinating to read some of the thoughts that I had. But I took a screenshot of this because it was so like profound to me at the time. That it said it felt like I knew when it clicked how I knew it clicked. It's like me seeing when it clicked when I knew how to be a great football player. Like I read it, like it was like the light was on moment. And I said, in this game, like you have to play violent. You have to be angry. You have to play violent because nobody cares. And what did I say? I said something like, I'm paraphrasing it horribly. I wrote it beautifully. That's why I took a screenshot of it. But it's like you have to be like in this game. That's what I said. I said in this game they don't respect intellect. They don't respect anything. All they respect is pain. And it was like those thoughts from like a 19, 20-year-old kid. Like it's just weird to think. Like it's just weird. Like that was my thought process.
You ever work with new football players? You know, kids who want to get to a Division I school or something.
There's some cats like that reach out to me, and I try to give them any advice that I can. But I mean, I don't have the passion to like change the game. Like I don't really care for football.
I was thinking camps or something. Like I don't even know how lucrative that is, but sometimes football players do that. Okay.
It's money, but it's not nothing that's gonna make me get up out of my house. Like
maybe a girls' camp or something like that.
A girls' football camp?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not into that. I'm just not into football like that.
Oh, so I'm not into football either. It's
dude, anxiety attacks. Is that a driving problem? That's one of the. As you were telling me about the Matrix and the silver, I was like, what if that happens behind the wheel? Is that, or do you feel like that not at risk?
No, people go through them. Like people. One of my good friends actually, his name is Ross Bolin. He has a pretty popular podcast too. He reached out when I started kind of publicly talking about panic attacks like a couple years back. And he was like, I go through it a lot. And he was like, I've been through this journey. And so during this last little stint, it just had gotten to the point where it was like every single day. It was like I couldn't, it bothered me every day. And it wasn't something that I could just put in the wayside. I had to address whatever was the underlying issues or however we get better. And he was telling me like sometimes like he'll have the attacks and he'll have to pull over on the side of the road and call an ambulance because it's that debilitating to where you feel like there's nothing. I can't take this shit. Like whatever this is, like I need help. And it's just and no matter how much you try to convince yourself it's a panic attack, it doesn't matter. Like it's just your brain tells you like this ain't
a panic attack, and so of course you're not going to be able to like talk yourself through it.
Yeah, I mean, some of them you can. Honestly, some of them you can be like, it's gonna pass. It's gonna pass. And you like continue to tell yourself it's gonna pass, but then sometimes it's like, nah, bro, this one's not gonna pass. We're gonna die right here.
I usually go I have them pretty regularly, probably twice a year, which is pretty regular for something that makes me go unconscious and collapse on the floor. It feels like it is anyway. But it's in real stressful situations. Like I would never just randomly have one. It's always been like just some real heavy shits going on, and I would have one. I had one when I got arrested, for the marijuana thing. I had one then, blacked out during that. But sometimes I can stay awake, especially if I can get some cold water and throw it in my face. That always helps. Like if I can throw cold water in my face, that'll kind of snap me right out of it. But I've definitely like completely blacked out and fallen on concrete before. And like it's not like when you trip and fall and you get your hands out or you can fall in a certain way. I just like felt like a tree getting chopped down. So I like wake up and my elbows are all scraped the fuck up. And I'm like, yeah, it's bad.
Do people understand it or lack empathy? Or like, I felt like I'm saying is I think 3 years ago, I didn't understand it. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I felt like
I did.
I felt like it was a fear response when it's almost something different than that.
Yeah, it's your brain not handling fight flight correctly, and just triggering like just a huge adrenaline dump, and then your body reacting to that. Yep. So it's often it'll be like an argument. Like I've gotten into arguments with people, and it happened, and not even with a man. Like I've got in an argument with like a woman before, and just get so fucking like stressed out and fucking worked up that the next thing I know, it's like if you stand up too quickly and you kind of get like a brownout, everything starts closing in, extremities going literally numb, like you've been laying on your hands and feet, and just got to start hyperventilating, have to sit down. And if I don't get cold water in my face, I'm going out.
Yeah. So that's like the trigger. Does the trigger sit on top of something like a baseline life troubleness? Like I've had times in my life where I was wealthy and times in my life where I was really pretty poor. There's some stress in not having any money, or feeling like your net worth is lower than it was a few years ago. Like that's a problem. Like, is that the kind of anxiety that takes you 80% of the way there? Then you're liable to be triggered?
Not for me. It may be for some people, but for me, it's huge moments. It's like dealing with fucking law enforcement and, getting arrested. That was a big one.
Are they all interpersonal conflicts where it happens? Like with another person, something happened you really hate? Not like, oh my God, how am I going to pay the whatever?
Oh yeah, it's never like oh no, the cable bill's big. It's like one time like
I didn't know they were charging me by the show.
What the fuck, Hulu? I bundled. I swear I bundled. Like I remember I had one in high school where like just got in a shouting match with a guy who was definitely gonna beat the shit out of me if he wanted to. But I didn't want to be a bitch, so I was just screaming at him like, "Well, do it," and like. Whole time I'm melting down on the inside, like literally I'm feeling the panic attack coming, and I'm like, if he don't knock me out, I'm gonna knock myself out. And there's like a timer ticking down in my brain. I'm like, I got about 40 seconds of consciousness here, and he actually walked away. I'm sure not because he was afraid of me, just because he didn't want to like get in any more trouble.
Did you just see you standing there sweating bullets going white?
He probably thought I was very ill. He didn't want to touch anything. But I just went to the bathroom and like flipped the toilet seat down and like sat on it and just cold sweat, just like barely conscious in the bathroom for like 10 minutes trying to pull myself back together from that one. But there's been a few where I just went completely unconscious, hit the fucking ground. Those, like when I feel it coming now, I'm smart enough to like find a couch.
Do you always see it coming?
I've definitely thought in the past that like I've had a panic attack with like I have like a moment of like intense worry and anxiety and then I heard about like Kyle and Arian and people who really get them, and it's like, oh no, like I've never thought I was gonna pass out. Like I'll just like maybe start like breathing faster and really be worried. But yeah,
but I mean it's part of them, like, and that's what I learned is like it's a spectrum. So it's like
it is,
and so you got to kind of find where you're at and deal with those. And so like mine have never been like big moments like Kyle. Like mine is never like big moments don't bother me. And I mean they bother me, but it's not like. That's not what triggers them. Yeah. My daughter says hi.
Hello.
Mine are more so. I mean, I still don't know. We're still working through the process of why it's happening. But mine is just like an everyday occurrence where it's like it's mild, and then like I was watching John Wick 2.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching John Wick 2, and all of a sudden you feel that adrenaline rush. It's like you could feel the chemicals go boom, and all of a sudden heart goes to 120, 130, and you're just sitting there, and then you feel like somebody's pressing on your chest, can't breathe, palms get sweaty. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? You got to try to calm yourself down, and it's just like it's debilitating. It's like it's just
same question.
I had another panic attack. I had another panic attack during pre-sentencing when they're like listing the charges and the potential maximum sentences, because like what I eventually
bro, but it's funny.
No, it's funny. Laugh. It's funny.
Kyle's laughed about it many times.
Oh yeah, it's fucking hilarious. I know it is. So like I pled to like possession with intent to distribute, but they were trying to hit me with a bunch of nonsense. Like I had a firearm that had been like Cerakoted, like painted, and it made it a little difficult to read the serial numbers. So they were trying to hit me with this federal charge of destroying serial numbers on firearms, and it's like, I didn't even paint the fucking gun. Like a professional like painter painted this gun. And look, you can read them. You just gotta like, get the light
a little bit.
Squint a little bit. Like scratch with your fingernail. We can figure this out. I didn't destroy anything. It's right there. But it's a 10-year minimum sentence, federal prison. And so like that plus like some of the other nonsense they were trying to hit me with was gonna add up to like 18 years. So like we're sitting there, well, I'm standing there as they read out all these charges, and I don't understand how the court system works. For all I know, like the deal is off. We're hitting you with all of it. like the judge might even be like, you know what, he looks guilty. Look at him, he's sweating. Guilty, 20 years. You know what, 25, because he just sent a Mexican guy away for 80 years. Like I watched him do it. Jeez. And so they're listing all those fucking charges, and I lean toward my lawyer and whisper, I'm like, I'm going to hit the floor in definitely less than 90 seconds, but probably less than 60. I'm hitting the fucking floor. So figure that one out for me. How about it? That's what you get paid for. And he's like, can we get a chair?
For passing out.
Can we get a chair? He explains my condition. He's like, he's got diagnosed PTSD. He has panic attacks. Can we get this man a chair? And they're like, yeah, get him a fucking chair. And they brought me a fucking chair. So now I'm sitting there. Now I look super guilty. Right? They just list the charges and I'm fainting. And it did not look good.
Oh my God. What a horror. I don't even want to think about putting myself in that position because that would be so scary. Because you're not you're not an attorney. You are just sitting there like 10 years for this, 30 years for this. And in your head, you're like adding up like, I don't know how many years I have left, but it's not this many. I'm not 58.
Yeah. At a certain point, I kill myself, right? Like I'm not going away for 20 years. I'm going to kill myself. I just am. I'm not doing 20 years.
And all that for a half ounce of weed, though?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Just
Arian,
kids.
I have the same question for you. That like, do you feel like life's pressure takes you halfway to an anxiety attack? Like, you've got some Steven Jackson judgment headed against you right now, and you're like, fuck, and all it takes is John Wick to push you over the edge.
No, that's the thing. I'm an everyday, like regular, like happy-go-lucky, nothing bothers me type dude. But I think how I've dealt, so if like a woman that I love in my life, if she cries, like my mother or, my ex-lady, if she cries, like my first gut reaction is to laugh. Like, and that sounds horrible, but it's over my life and the trauma that I felt. Like that's how I respond to pain. It's just laugh.
Me too.
Laugh
I laugh.
And so
it's
everything
very inappropriate at times.
It's super
not unusual. Lots of people.
Yeah. So I had to explain to my ex one time because she started crying. I was like, oh man, like that type of shit. And she was like, and that's so disrespectful. I'm like, listen, like it's not you. It's just that's how I compartmentalize what's going on. And I think over the years of me doing that, like pain after pain after pain, that it's just me pushing shit down. And maybe I just haven't learned how to deal with the shit that I've actually gone through. Cause like when I was talking to like my psychiatrist, and I'm a lot more open about this type of shit than I used to be in the past. Like in the past, I just avoided this whole conversation.
That's good.
but it's healthy to talk about this shit. So I was talking to my psychiatrist, and I was, as we're talking, like all these memories of like my childhood are popping up that I know about, but I just don't. They're just not there in my everyday life. But like I've never really like explored them. Like how did it make me feel? Like that type of shit. And so as we're digging into my childhood, a lot more of that shit is starting to pop up, and maybe that's helping. I know in this last month I felt a lot better than I have. I still get them, and it's still the presence is still there. but I think this is just going to be a process.
Yeah.
And
I had court mandated like drug counseling, and so they sent me to a psychiatrist, and she was like, I explained the situation. She's like, "Well, that's bullshit, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm glad you agree." I was like, "I don't have a fucking drug problem. I just like smoking weed. You know, I like doing some. I like doing dabs. You know, like eating fucking brownies, smoking dabs, smoking flower. I like rolling artistic joints." You know, it's a hobby for me. I enjoy it.
It's a hobby.
But I haven't smoked in 6 months or whatever it was at the time. I don't have any withdrawals. Like I'm not shaking. I don't have the fucking shakes. Like I want some weed, but I don't.
The pot shivers. You didn't get.
I don't have the pot shivers. All right. And she's like, yeah, of course not. Marijuana is only addictive for like 1% of the people on the fucking planet. But you have PTSD. You want to work on that? And I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. And I felt so like just doing talk therapy and doing this form of hypnotism that she was into was super fucking effective. Doing this like
that's really dope of her.
Yeah, she was great. I think she wanted me to fuck her with her husband there. I think they were into that.
The cuckolding or
what's up, Debbie? If you hadn't been 58, I'd have been down.